Welcome to our second webinar on the use of some of the new technologies that are available to help young people who are affected by migration. In the last 2 years, how should I say, artificial intelligence or cloud-based systems have transformed the speed and accuracy of translation services. In the last seminar, we looked in detail at apps which can be used on mobile phones and computers to help speed up translation and communication. Today, Claire is going to present some of the features that are now available through PowerPoint, which means that you can produce instant captioning in different languages from a live presentation. Claire, over to you.
Okay, so we're going to look at the Microsoft PowerPoint and the live captions function. So you can now in PowerPoint enable live captioning, which means that as I'm presenting my PowerPoint, what I'm saying can be displayed across the screen in subtitles, and you can put this into different languages. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk you through the flowchart of how we can do this, and then I'm going to walk you through it step by step. So you start by opening up the PowerPoint application and you'll launch that, and then you just need to find an existing slideshow, one that you've already got created. On that, you would just then open it up, and on the top ribbon where it has slideshow, you would just click that, and then you need to click into always use subtitles. Once you've clicked that on that ribbon as well, you can go into subtitle settings. And this is where we can then select the spoken language that we want the presenter to be using. And then we can also select the subtitle language as well. So that's a kind of in a nutshell what we'll be doing. So taking you through each step then, you'd start by finding PowerPoint and opening that up. And then within PowerPoint, you just need to find a slideshow you already created. You can see that I've picked what can we learn from COVID. With that, you then need to look at the top ribbon where you can see it says slideshow, and you can see on here I've highlighted that for you. You would click on slideshow, and then within that you would find always use subtitles. So here you'd click on that as well, and that takes you into the next setting where you can find the subtitle settings. So all the time we're looking at these things in the top ribbon. Now, if for any reason you're not finding these, it might mean that you need to download the Translator Presenter app. So what I can do at the end is I'll show you how you download that, and that's free. Okay, so you go into the subtitle settings, and this is where you would then pick your spoken language. So as the presenter, the language that I want to be speaking, and you can see from the menu that there are lots of different languages. So it's over 12 that you can use for the presenter mode. And then you would click down into the subtitle language, and you can see that I've picked Spanish, but again there are lots of different languages that you can flash the subtitles up in. It's over 60, so there's a real range. So on the next slide, what I've done is I've recorded me using that COVID slideshow, and you will be able to see the subtitles coming up in the bottom. So as the speaker is speaking, what I'm saying in English is then translated into Spanish. So I should just click that so you can see.
So here you can see that what I am saying is being translated into Spanish on the subtitles on the screen. So how I can use this in the classroom is if I put my mic on, I can then be talking through my lesson. So for example, I could talk through what can we learn from COVID. Let's look at the parent positives and the pupil positives, and you can see that that is translated for the students in the room.
Okay, so hopefully you could hear then me speaking. Yep. And the Spanish coming through at the bottom. Now the subtitles can be displayed anywhere on the screen. So one of the options when you go back through using the ribbon is you can actually move the subtitles around to different places, so wherever you want them to be. Okay, So in terms of the presenter language, so you could have English, French, Spanish. There are over 12 different spoken languages that the presenter can be using, and you can then select over 60 subtitle languages. So you can see in terms of in the classroom how this increases accessibility significantly. So thinking about the different ways we could use this, and within the educational setting, you can see that this would be a really valuable tool. So within lessons and lectures, it would increase access within the room. And then you can also think about the uses with the meetings that we do. So when we're meeting with parent and carers and perhaps doing information evenings or public meetings, and also looking at when we're doing staff training sessions. So whenever we have got different languages that we need to remove the barrier, we can use this tool to really increase the accessibility and inclusivity. So what I'll just do is just talk you back through those different ways through. So the first step then was just you finding that PowerPoint application. You would need to open a slideshow, so one you'd already got, open that up. And then if you were looking at the top ribbon, you would click on the slideshow. And then you go through a process of clicking through the menus to get always use subtitles. And then you go into that subtitle setting. And then this is the point where you select the spoken language of the presenter and also the language that you want the subtitles to be in. If for any reason you do find when you're going through those menus that you can't find subtitle selections, you might find you need to just download Presentation Translator, and you can do this by following the link that I'm showing you at the moment. If you go to that site and download that, it's free and it's quick, and then you're ready to go with putting together your presentations. Okay. Any questions or comments?
Thank you so much, Claire. Before I invite questions, could I first of all ask Claire to go right back to the beginning and just go through those steps again from your first slide so that people can actually see once more the steps you make from opening PowerPoint. So
Okay.
the next slide onwards. Thank you.
Okay, so we go into PowerPoint. So you're going to launch PowerPoint, and then you're going to find a slideshow that you've already got made. So you can see that I've picked out what can we learn from COVID. And then what you need to do is look at the top bar, that top ribbon, and you can see halfway along slideshow. So what we need you to do is then click on slideshow, and we're going to then go through a series of options, and it's quite simple steps. You click on always use subtitles. And once you've done that and you've got that ticked, you then go into the subtitle settings. And the subtitle settings is where we're going to set the presenter's language. So I've picked English here, but you can pick from a range of languages. So that's what we're going to be speaking in. And then we would want to look at selecting the subtitle language. So what I want to be showing on the screen as I'm using my PowerPoint and conveying my information. So you can see here that I've identified with Spanish, but there are lots of different ones in the list. So you can do over 60 different languages, and you can see on the screen there's Romanian and Serbian. There's a whole range. Once you've done that, you would then be able to speak, and the subtitles will come up in your chosen language. So what I will just do is share that.
So here you can see that what I am saying is being translated into Spanish on the subtitles on the screen. So how I can use this in the classroom is if I put my mic on, I can then be talking through my lesson. So for example, I could talk through what can we learn from COVID. Let's look at the parent positives and the pupil positives, and you can see that that is translated for the students in the room.
Thank you for that, Claire. That was wonderful. So we invite any comments or queries from you. If we can't answer them, we'll ask Microsoft, which is great. And you can use the raise your hand function on your connection bar if you wish to raise a question. So over to you, and raise a hand if you'd like to speak. Aha, we have Anne here. Anne, please.
Yeah, I just wanted to say this looks absolutely brilliant and very clearly explained. I think it's take a bit of practice because it's quite demanding for the viewer, isn't it? both looking, listening, and reading. And I think you would need to speak quite slowly if people are going to be able to look at what, depending on how much information there is on the PowerPoint. But I can see this has tremendous use.
Thank you, Anne. I agree. There's two aspects here. First of all, the amount of information you have on slides and the purpose of the translation. It could well be that you have a group of, say, Italian or a group of Gujarati young people in your classroom, or you are giving a presentation to a group, and you know that there's a predominant other language in that group. Yes, it might be that you select slides which are more visual with less written labeling, and then you speak clearly and slowly so that people can hear it. But yes, I think a tremendous tool with those limitations, of course. Kieran O'Donnell, please.
Hello, I hope you guys can hear me. Thank you
Yes.
very much for a lovely, quick and snappy but very useful presentation. Quick question. I've just tried to check it up on my own PowerPoint and I see I don't have the possibility to add it. And I think you mentioned that you could possibly show us where to go and download it.
Yes.
If you could, please. Thank you.
Let me just pull up that slide for you. So if you go to Presentation Translator for PowerPoint, you can see the link at the bottom. If you go to that, you'll be able to download that onto your machine and then it should be working for you.
Thank you so much.
My question, sorry, relates to that. I've just tried to do that and it says I need administrator permissions in order to be able to download it onto my laptop. Did you have the same problem or were you able to just do it straight away?
I think it's because you have an organisation laptop, Chris, and therefore it will need to be unlocked for you by Excalibur. I think if people have their own personal laptops, it's not a problem.
Okay, thank you.
Lovely. And any other questions or queries at the moment? Fantastic. Chris, you have a query. Chris Gittins.
Hang on, just need to switch my microphone on. That was brilliant. Thank you very much. Really, as I said before, very clear and concise. I just wonder, can you, there must be a simple answer to this, I don't know whether there is or not. Can you do the presentation with the PowerPoint slide in another language that the people you're presenting to see in their own language as you're speaking with the subtitles?
If the PowerPoint's presentation has been translated in advance, yeah, and you were speaking in English, the subtitles can be set to the language of the presentation. So that could be another way round. If you're familiar with your material, say for us, Chris, if we had to present in Bulgarian, for example, we could script a PowerPoint in English, translate it into Bulgarian using the various translation tools that are out there, and then speak in English with it being subtitled in Bulgarian. So yes, that would work. But we'd have to know the script. We'd have to know the script well.
Right. So in other words, the screen you're looking at or I'm looking at when I'm presenting would be in Bulgarian.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. But that's a very good point, because it does open up the prospects to doing some very interesting training.
Well, presumably you can do a split screen or something, can you?
You could do
at home. Yeah.
You could do, yes. You could have your own PowerPoint running at the same time. You'd have to have two PowerPoints going, one linked in Teams.
Okay.
The other possibility with Teams, of course, is that Bulgarians, if you were presenting in Bulgaria, could ask you questions via Teams, and there's an auto translate function in Teams, which means the subtitles would appear in English whilst they spoke. So there could be a degree of interaction using the two-way translation app.
Yeah.
The limitations are, though, because this is all artificially intelligence driven from cloud services, they haven't quite got to the stage where a verbal translation is being generated at the same time. I've got a funny feeling, though, it's only a matter of years away.
Okay.
Well, if there aren't any extra questions, thank you so much for joining us. As I said, the